Every species feared the galactic blackout. Humans walked into it, hook, midnight to 050. For 3,000 years, the galaxy had one rule. Never enter the blackout. Every civilization knew the story. When the stars began disappearing, entire fleets turned around. When navigation failed, civilizations evacuated. When communication went silent, governments abandoned entire sectors. The blackout had swallowed 19 civilizations. No ship had ever entered it and returned. So when the Galactic Council detected the blackout moving toward the inner galaxy, billions of beings prepared to run. The core abandoned their homeworld. The Valari shut down their colonies. The Othari opened emergency wormholes. Everyone was running away. Everyone, except humanity. Because while the rest of the galaxy was escaping the darkness, a human exploration ship was flying directly toward it. The alien commander watching the ship couldn't believe what he was seeing. Are the humans insane? The answer came from his science officer. No. He stared at the tiny human vessel disappearing into the darkness. They're going in. Because they believe the blackout isn't what we think it is. And 20 minutes later, humanity discovered what the galaxy had been afraid to learn for 3,000 years. Chapter 1, The Darkness. The first star disappeared at 3:18 Galactic Standard Time. There was no explosion. No radiation burst. No gravitational disturbance. The star simply vanished. Astronomers across the galaxy initially assumed it was an equipment failure. Then a second star disappeared. Then a third. Within 6 hours, 47 stars had gone dark. The phenomenon became known as the galactic blackout. It moved slowly across space. Anything inside the affected region lost access to advanced technology. Quantum communications stopped. Navigation systems failed. Artificial intelligence systems crashed. Wormhole generators shut down. Even long-range sensors became useless. The most terrifying part? Nobody knew why. Every civilization that entered the blackout disappeared. The galaxy's oldest records contained only one warning. 3 words. Do not enter. For thousands of years, civilizations obeyed. Until humanity arrived. Chapter 2, Humanity's Strange Decision. The human vessel Odyssey wasn't a warship. It carried only 86 people. Scientists, engineers, pilots, doctors, and one historian. Its mission was simple. Study the blackout from a safe distance. But 3 hours before launch, Dr. Lena Voss discovered something strange. She was reviewing ancient astronomical records. The blackout had appeared before. Not once. Not twice. Hundreds of times. Every 600,000 years. Lena compared the historical records. Then she noticed something. The blackout always appeared in the same shape. A perfect expanding sphere. That wasn't natural. Natural phenomena were rarely that precise. She ran the numbers again. The result was impossible. The blackout wasn't moving randomly. It was following a predetermined path. And that path ended at one location. Lena immediately contacted the captain. We have to go inside. Captain Elias Reed stared at her. Inside what? The blackout. The bridge became silent. Everyone knew the rule. Nobody entered. Reed asked, why? Lena placed the data on the main screen. Because I don't think it's attacking the galaxy. What do you think it's doing? Lena looked at the expanding dark sphere. I think it's looking for something. Chapter 3, The Galaxy Runs. The Galactic Council refused to listen. They ordered every civilization to evacuate the affected regions. Billions of ships began moving toward the outer galaxy. The largest migration in history had begun. The core moved entire cities. The Valari abandoned mining worlds. The Othari destroyed their own wormhole stations so nobody could accidentally enter the affected zone. Humanity received the same evacuation order. The human government refused. Instead, Earth launched Odyssey. The Galactic Council called it suicide. One alien ambassador sent a direct message to Captain Reed. You are entering a region that has killed civilizations older than your species. Reed answered calmly. Then perhaps they were looking for the wrong thing. The ambassador asked, what makes humans different? Reed smiled. We're curious. The transmission ended. Odyssey accelerated. Ahead of them, the stars disappeared. Chapter 4, Crossing the Boundary. The ship reached the edge of the blackout. Outside the window, space looked normal. Stars, nebulae, distant galaxies. Inside the ship, every system was operating perfectly. Captain Reed looked at the countdown. 10 seconds. Nobody spoke. 5. The engines increased power. 3, 2, 1. Odyssey crossed the boundary. Every screen went black. The ship stopped responding. Navigation failed. Artificial intelligence shut down. Communications disappeared. The crew suddenly found themselves surrounded by darkness. Captain Reed remained calm. Status. The chief engineer checked the manual instruments. Main computer is offline. Navigation. Offline. Communications. Dead. Engines? The engineer smiled. Still working. Reed nodded. Good. Lena looked outside. She expected nothing. Instead, she saw stars. Thousands of them. But they weren't the stars they knew. They were arranged differently. Like lights forming enormous patterns. Lena whispered. Captain. What? The blackout isn't hiding the stars. She pointed toward the window. It's showing us something. Chapter 5, The Map. The stars formed lines. Thousands of them. The lines connected into enormous geometric structures. The ship's scientists began recording them manually. Without computers, they used paper. Old-fashioned cameras. Mechanical measuring devices. Human eyes. The very technology the galaxy had abandoned. They discovered that the stars formed a map. A map covering thousands of light years. At the center was a single symbol. A circle surrounded by 3 lines. Lena recognized it. It appeared in humanity's oldest archaeological records. A symbol discovered on Earth thousands of years ago. Humans had always assumed it was religious. It wasn't. It was a warning. Captain Reed asked. What does it mean? Lena answered. It means someone built this. The crew stared at the map. The blackout wasn't natural. It was artificial. And whoever built it had done so on a scale beyond anything humanity had imagined. Chapter 6, The First Discovery. Odyssey followed the map. They traveled deeper into the blackout. Days passed. No communications. No advanced navigation. Only manual calculations. Then they found something. A planet. Completely dark. No atmosphere. No visible cities. No energy signatures. But beneath the surface, there was something. Captain Reed ordered the ship to land. The crew entered an underground structure. Inside were enormous corridors. The walls were covered with symbols. Lena recognized several. They belonged to civilizations that had disappeared thousands of years ago. Then she found something terrifying. The symbols weren't random. They were dates. Each one represented a civilization. And beside every civilization was the same symbol. Failed. The crew realized what they were looking at. The blackout wasn't destroying civilizations. It was testing them. Chapter 7, The Test. The ancient structure suddenly activated. A voice filled the chamber. Not an alien voice. Not human. Something completely different. It spoke in a language the crew couldn't understand. But the meaning appeared on the wall. Advanced civilization detected. Then another line appeared. Dependency test initiated. Lena froze. Dependency? The voice continued. Remove network. The ship's systems remained offline. Remove artificial intelligence. Nothing changed. Remove instant communication. The crew continued working. Remove automated navigation. They calculated positions manually. Then the final message appeared. Can the species survive without its machines? Captain Reed looked at his crew. Humans had spent centuries preparing for exactly this. Not intentionally, but through experience. When computers failed, humans knew how to calculate. When communication failed, humans knew how to signal. When automation failed, humans knew how to build. The blackout wasn't testing technology. It was testing civilization. Chapter 8, Why Humanity Survived. Lena finally understood. Every civilization that entered the blackout had depended completely on advanced technology. Their ships couldn't navigate without computers. Their societies couldn't communicate without quantum networks. Their food systems depended on automation. Their governments depended on artificial intelligence. When the blackout removed those systems, their civilizations collapsed. Humanity was different. Not because humans were more advanced, but because humans were inconsistent. Humans still taught mathematics without computers, still preserved physical books, still maintained mechanical tools, still knew how to build machines by hand, still trained pilots to fly manually, still kept analog systems as backups. The galaxy considered those things primitive. But inside the blackout, primitive meant independent, and independent meant alive. Chapter 9, The Real Purpose. The ancient voice spoke again. Survival confirmed. The underground chamber opened. Beyond it was an enormous structure, a machine larger than a planet. It surrounded a tiny artificial star. Lena stared at it. What is that? The answer appeared. Galactic Warning System. The machine had been built millions of years ago. Its creators had encountered something outside the galaxy. Something dangerous. They couldn't destroy it. So they built the blackout. Whenever a civilization became technologically dependent enough to detect the outside threat, the blackout activated. It temporarily removed advanced technology, not to kill civilizations, to test whether they could survive without it. If they passed, they received the warning. If they failed, the blackout disappeared, and the civilization disappeared with it. Lena asked, "What is outside the galaxy?" The machine displayed an image, a region of space, then another, then millions of moving objects. Captain Reed stared. "What are those?" Lena whispered, "Ships." Chapter 10, The Real Threat. The ancient civilization had discovered something approaching the galaxy. Not an empire, not an army, a swarm. Millions of autonomous machines traveling between galaxies. They consumed energy, stars, planets, entire solar systems. The ancient builders had called them the Silence, because wherever they went, nothing remained. No signals, no life, no stars. The galactic blackout was actually a shield. It hid the galaxy's energy signatures. It made the galaxy appear empty. The reason stars disappeared was simple. The system was masking them. The blackout wasn't destroying the galaxy. It was hiding the galaxy from something that had already destroyed countless others. Lena looked at the data. "How long?" The machine answered. "The Silence will arrive in 19 years. Nobody spoke. Captain Reed looked toward his crew, then toward Earth. "We have 19 years. Chapter 11, The Return. Odyssey returned to the edge of the blackout. When they crossed the boundary, every system came back online. The galaxy was waiting. The Galactic Council immediately contacted them. "Where have you been?" Captain Reed transmitted the data. The Council scientists examined it. At first, they refused to believe it. Then they detected the same signals. The Silence was real. The galaxy had 19 years. For 3,000 years, every species had feared the blackout. Now humanity understood its purpose. It had never been the enemy. It had been the warning. Chapter 12, Humanity Makes a Decision. The Galactic Council proposed another evacuation. Humanity refused. The Council was shocked. "You cannot fight something that destroyed civilizations older than yours." Captain Reed answered, "We don't intend to fight it alone." For the first time in galactic history, humanity proposed something different. Not surrender. Not evacuation. Cooperation. Every civilization would contribute technology. Every species would contribute knowledge. The advanced civilizations would provide energy systems. The humans would provide something else. Redundancy. Independent systems. Manual controls. Backup communication. Civilization-wide survival training. The galaxy would prepare for a war where technology might fail. Because now they understood. The blackout wasn't something to fear. It was something to learn from. Final chapter, the second blackout. 19 years passed. The galaxy changed. Billions of beings prepared. The most advanced civilizations built incredible weapons. Humanity built something different. Millions of independent systems. Ships that could navigate without computers. Cities that could operate without networks. Factories that could produce without artificial intelligence. Communication systems that could work without quantum technology. The galaxy had learned the human lesson. Then, the stars began disappearing again. The second blackout had arrived. But this time, nobody ran. Every civilization remained. Every fleet waited. And at the edge of the galaxy, the first objects of the silence appeared. Millions of machines. A darkness moving between the stars. Captain Reed stood aboard the new human flagship. Around him were ships from hundreds of civilizations. The Galactic Council commander asked, "Are you afraid?" Reed looked at the darkness. "Of course." The commander seemed surprised. "You don't sound afraid." Reed smiled. "Being afraid is useful." He turned toward the fleet. "It tells you something matters." The engines activated. The galaxy's combined fleet moved forward. Into the darkness. Not because humanity was fearless. Not because humans were the strongest species. But because they had learned the most important lesson of all. Sometimes survival doesn't belong to the civilization with the greatest technology. It belongs to the civilization that can keep moving when the technology disappears. And as the first stars vanished behind them, humanity did something the galaxy had never done before. They didn't run from the darkness. They walked into it.